Bong hits are like strippers. Well, they're best when shared with a group of friends. And that's what I was doing, taking a bong hit among friends when I got the phone call. Now, had I known what was coming, I might pay a little closer attention, but I was a sixth-year senior with no plans beyond that toke and my next game of Frisbee golf. So, now, as best I can recall, the man on the other end explained that he was a journalist writing for Rolling Stone magazine about my college, Florida State University, being listed as the #1 party school in America. He needed a tour guide, he said, and since my name had been brought up by nearly everyone he had spoken with, he was wondering if he could come down and observe. As the bomb made its way back in front of me, I agreed. Are you doing a bomb hit? Yup. Perfect. And he hung up. Now, little did I know that that phone call would change my life, and that soon, being a party animal and making people laugh would become more than just a good time for me. It would become a profession. Robin Williams once offered, comedy is acting out often. But after his death this past summer, countless people wondered how such a funny, seemingly happy person could become depressed to the point of suicide. Yet it's important to understand that performance, in its inherently vulnerable and personal nature, can either be a form of coping or lead to further self-hatred. Maintaining acute awareness of this idea, comedian Bert Kreischer, in telling his story, demonstrates that every time we willingly subject ourselves to the opinions and criticisms of others, we have an opportunity to improve our relationship with ourselves. Life is a Party by Bert Kreischer. One of my earliest recollections was entering first grade. I remember on the first day, my dad dragged me up the stairs into my first grade classroom where I began to melt down. I had terrible separation anxiety. Yeah, but I remember this is the parenting job my dad pulled on. He said, look, I won't go to work. I'll just stay out in the parking lot. That way, if you need me, you can just come out and find me. And I believed him, up until about the first 10 minutes, at which point I politely informed my teacher, Mrs. Thompson, that I would be taking a little break from the introductory portion of today's lesson and heading out to the parking lot. It was then that she informed me that my dad had gone to work. He wasn't in the parking lot. I was going nowhere. To say I took this news poorly would be like saying DMX has some bumps on his driving record. Tears turned into panic, which turned into mayhem, as I went from desk to desk, from kid to kid, telling all of the other children in my classroom that our parents had abandoned us and we were never going to see them again. Now, Mrs. Thompson had lost control, and her only hope to calm the other kids down was to get me back on her side. So we made a pact. I would do first grade peacefully, so long as I got to sit in the front of the room with my desk next to hers, holding her hand. What can I say? I'm a straight-up gangster. And I don't remember much of what followed, but I do remember the sheer joy and elation that I felt on that day, just having my classmates' attention. I mean, one thing is for sure, it was that day that the bug of performing had bitten me. Yeah, I'm like a $10 hooker with a $12 a day habit. I rarely say no to anyone. And it's the one thing about myself that I constantly try to change, but I never can. But one thing is for sure. Now, if I was the kind of guy who said no even once in his life, I never would have fought a bear. Yeah. Grappling with a bear was just one in a series of poor choices that I made while filming a TV show called Hurt, Burt. Yeah, now Hurt, Burt had a very simple premise. I would take dangerous jobs for one day at a time with no training, insight, or preparation. But it's important to note that by the time they scheduled me to fight a bear, I had already learned that I don't like working with large animals. You see, working with a large animal is like working with a porn star. You never know what kind of mood they're going to be in. They don't know how to act. And the next day, someone will definitely be shedding blood. My call time to work with the bear was early in the morning, because apparently, just like meth addicts and homeless people, that's when bears like to bite. But as we turned the corner, I saw my crew, a couple of trainers, and that is when I spotted my opponent. A mound of what looked to be 9 feet and roughly 1,000 pounds of adult male bear, just minding his own business, sitting casually on a park bench. But it was at that point that my field producer, Tim, pulled me aside and said that just like a rock star, there was a special way he needs to meet the bear. He then gave me a handful of marshmallows and told me that I was to feed them to this bear, and that if at any point I felt like my life was in danger, all I had to do was say, marshmallow. But as I approached this bear and began feeding him these marshmallows, I actually felt a moment of solidarity. I mean, we were just coworkers, compadres, doing a job for our handlers that they couldn't do. We were the entertainment. And then the cameras turned on, and immediately our connection disappeared, because this bear was on top of me. I felt his claws, which were not even neatly trimmed, I might add, secure a grip on my head as I began to shout, "Marshmallow!" I have never to this day felt more helpless than I did on that day, but the crew burst out laughing, and feeling safe in my comedy, I actually began to ham it up a bit, with marshmallow as my punchline. But it was at this point that I realized that one of the trainers was desperately trying to make eye contact with me, and then he began to shout, "Go limp." And that's the last thing I remember, because as I lay on my back at the feet of the bear, he instinctually sat on my face. Yeah, this is what they told me when I came to under a tree in Tim's lap, and I whimpered, "What happened?" And Tim said, "You got teabagged by a bear, and it was fucking hilarious." You want to know the best part? The show got canceled before that bear segment even aired. The network wanted more story arc and fewer short, non sequitur, but hilarious clips. And, either way, every time I think about that show, it serves as a frustrating reminder that my whole life, I've been the kind of person who will do anything just to make people laugh. And I'm not sure what drives it, nor am I sure how to control it, but it's in those moments when I have the attention of an audience that I get to forget about myself, my shortcomings and my insecurities. I never suffer from the fear of stage fright. I suffer from the exact opposite of stage fright. I suffer from the fear of not getting on stage, of not grabbing the spotlight, of letting a potentially magical moment slip by. I guess I'm obsessed with making people laugh because it's those times when I can make someone feel something, to laugh or smile when they like it. Those are really the only times in my entire life that I actually love myself. But today, when I look back on that Rolling Stone article that changed my life, I sincerely wonder, what if I'd studied harder? What if I had not fucked around at literally every opportunity? But I've come to realize that it's times like this, when we have an opportunity to show people who we truly are, that allows us to actually embrace it ourselves. So if you ever wonder whether or not you are worth listening to, I guess the only way to find out is to start talking. And if you like what you hear, well, I guess you had your answer.